First contact's price. The quantum sensors aboard the UES Horizon hummed quietly as Captain Sarah Chen studied the holographic display before her. The massive alien fleet hung in formation just beyond Pluto's orbit. 47 vessels of unprecedented size and design. They hadn't fired a shot. They hadn't needed to. Their message had been clear enough. Earth was now under quarantine. "They're broadcasting again, Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his communications station. "Same message as before." Chen nodded grimly. For 3 days, the Alien Federation had repeated their declaration. Humanity was deemed too volatile, too unpredictable to join galactic society. Earth would be isolated for the greater good of all sentient species. What the Federation didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over a century. Ever since the first alien probe was captured in 2157, Earth's finest minds had worked in secret reverse engineering advanced technology, while maintaining a careful facade of normal technological progression. "Status of Protocol Omega?" Chen asked. Her voice steadied despite the weight of what was to come. Her XO, Commander James Wilson, checked his neural interface. "All Earth defense platforms are ready. Lunar bases are armed. The Jupiter and Mars fleets are in position." He paused, allowing himself a small smile. "They have no idea we can see their stealth ships." Indeed, the Federation thought their cloaked vessels were invisible. 12 additional warships positioned to strike Earth's major cities if resistance was offered. It was almost amusing how outdated their stealth technology seemed to human quantum sensors. "All stations," Chen announced, her voice carrying across the bridge, and to every human ship in the solar system. "Initiate Protocol Omega. Authorization, Chen, Alpha 70. The response was immediate and devastating. Across the solar system, hidden human installations revealed themselves. Massive shipyards emerged from within Mercury's magnetic field. Orbital platforms materialized around Venus, their weapon systems already locked on Federation vessels. The Mars Defense Fleet decloaked, their advanced drives humming with power that made the Federation's technology look primitive in comparison. But it was the Jupiter yards that truly demonstrated humanity's progress. From within the gas giant's turbulent atmosphere rose humanity's greatest achievement, the Titan-class battleships. Each vessel was 15 kilometers long, powered by artificial quantum singularities, and armed with weapons that could reshape reality itself. On the Federation flagship, High Commander Vextal watched in horror as his sensors registered the impossible. Human ships were appearing everywhere, their technology far beyond anything the Federation possessed. His mandate had been simple: quarantine a primitive species for their own protection. Instead, he found himself facing a civilization that had already surpassed them. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Ship Horizon." Chen's voice rang across all frequencies, translated perfectly into every Federation language. "We have monitored your civilization for decades. We have watched you quarantine other species, stunting their growth while harvesting their world's resources. We have seen your empire built on suppression and fear." She paused, letting the accusations sink in. "But humanity will not be contained. We offer you one chance to withdraw your forces and recognize Earth as a sovereign power. If you refuse, we will demonstrate exactly why you were right to fear us." The Federation fleet's response was predictable. They opened fire. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked across space toward Earth's defenders. Chen didn't even need to give the order. The human ship's quantum fields activated, and the Federation's weapons simply ceased to exist, their energy scattered across 11 dimensions. "Disappointing," Chen sighed. "All ships, execute containment protocols. Minimal force. Let's show them how a truly advanced civilization handles first contact." The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than 6 minutes. Human vessels danced through space with impossible grace, their quantum drives ignoring the normal limits of physics. Federation weapons were useless, their shields meaningless against humanity's technology. One by one, their ships were disabled, their crews left unharmed, but helpless as their mighty vessels went dark. On the horizon's bridge, Chen watched as the last Federation ship was neutralized. Signal to all Earth forces. Begin Phase 2. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity isn't just ready for civilization. She stood, straightening her uniform as she prepared to board the Federation flagship. It's time to show them that we're ready to lead it. The message was broadcast across every frequency, in every language. Humanity had arrived, and the age of suppression was over. From their hidden outposts throughout the galaxy, human ships emerge, ready to free other quarantined species and build a true galactic community, one based on cooperation and growth rather than fear and control. As Chen prepared to meet the Federation leadership, she couldn't help but smile. They had feared humanity's potential for violence, never realizing that it was their capacity for innovation, their drive to explore and understand, that truly made humans dangerous. The Federation had sought to contain a primitive species, only to find they had tried to cage their own successors. The real question now wasn't whether humanity would join galactic society. It was whether galactic society was ready for humanity. The Silent Siege. Admiral Marcus Wright stood at the observation deck of the UES Prometheus, watching as the quantum field generators surrounded another Federation stronghold. This time, it was Centauri Prime, the Federation's largest military installation outside their home systems. The massive space station hung against the backdrop of swirling nebula clouds, its defense systems uselessly firing at the human fleet's impenetrable barriers. "Another bloodless victory," remarked his second-in-command, Captain Diana Patel, her dark eyes reflecting the distant explosions that dissipated harmlessly against their shields. "They still haven't figured out how we're bypassing their defensive grids." Wright nodded, his weathered face showing no emotion. In the 3 weeks since humanity's emergence, they had systematically disabled 17 major Federation military bases. Not a single casualty on either side. Just the quiet neutralization of the Federation's ability to wage war. "Status report from the Liberation Fleet?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. "Captain Chen's task force has freed 3 more quarantined species," Paddle reported, bringing up a holographic display. "The Orcs are from Delta Pavonis, the Zentri Collective from the Pleiades sector, and the Nomad clans of the Carina Arm. All of them had been contained by the Federation for showing dangerous potential. The real surprise hadn't been the Federation's practice of quarantining species. Humanity had known about that for decades. What shocked even hardened veterans like Wright was the scale of it. Nearly 30 civilizations have been imprisoned in their own solar systems, their development artificially stunted while the Federation stripped their worlds of resources. "Message from the Orcs leadership," his communications officer announced. "They're offering us their quantum fold technology in exchange for Alliance membership. Apparently, they developed it independently during their containment. Different approach than ours, but similarly effective." Wright allowed himself a small smile. This was exactly what Earth's leadership had hoped for. Each freed species brought new innovations, new perspectives, new technologies that could benefit everyone. The Federation's greatest mistake had been assuming isolation would prevent advancement. Instead, it had forced multiple civilizations to develop along completely different technological paths. "Sir," Patel interrupted his thoughts, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the station. They're trying to activate some kind of ancient defense system." The Federation station began to glow with an eerie purple light, its surface crawling with energy patterns that defied normal physics. This was exactly the kind of desperate measure they had been waiting for. "Let them," Wright ordered calmly. Time they learned about Protocol Omega's full capabilities. The station's ancient weapons fired, releasing beams of pure entropy that should have unraveled the very fabric of space-time. Should have. Instead, the human fleet's quantum fields caught the energy and redirected it, turning it into a precisely controlled containment bubble around the station itself. "Station contained," reported the tactical officer. "Their weapons are now powering their own prison. Quite efficient, if I do say so myself." This was humanity's true advantage, not just advanced technology, but the ability to turn an enemy's strength against them. The Federation's mighty weapons became their own undoing, their desperate measures transformed into tools of their defeat. Message from the station commander, the communications officer announced. They're requesting terms of surrender. Wright straightened his uniform. Tell them the same thing we've told all the others. Surrender is unnecessary. We're not here to conquer. We're here to rebuild. He turned to Patil. Begin evacuation protocols. Let's show them how humanity treats its former adversaries. Within hours, the station's crew was being safely transported to temporary quarters aboard human vessels. They would be treated with respect, shown the truth about their Federation's actions, and given a choice. Help build a new, more equitable galactic society, or retire peacefully to their homeworlds. As Wright watched the evacuation, his quantum implant buzzed with an incoming priority message. The Federation's Central Council was calling an emergency session. They wanted to negotiate. They're breaking faster than we anticipated, Patil observed. The economic disruption of losing their military bases combined with the revelation of their containment program. They never understood the real price of their actions, Wright replied. They thought they were protecting the galaxy from dangerous species. Instead, they created an alliance of civilizations that had nothing to lose and everything to gain by working together. The Prometheus's quantum drives hummed to life as they prepared to move to their next target. The Federation was learning a lesson that humanity had mastered centuries ago. True strength didn't come from suppressing others, but from embracing diversity and change. As they departed, Wright received another update. 3 more contained species had been located. The silent siege would continue, systematically dismantling the old order without firing a shot. The Federation had spent millennia building their empire on fear and control. Humanity would spend the next few decades helping the galaxy rebuild itself on cooperation and freedom. The price of their arrogance was the end of their dominion, not through violence, but through the quiet, inexorable advance of a humanity that had long surpassed them. The silent siege continued, and with each passing day, the galaxy moved closer to a new dawn. Echoes of deception. Dr. Elena Santos moved carefully through the abandoned Federation archive station, her quantum scanner piercing layers of security that had stood untouched for centuries. Behind her, a team of human and Orcs scientists followed, their own instruments recording everything. The station hung in dark space, far from any star system, a perfect place to hide uncomfortable truths. They wanted this place forgotten, observed Patil, the Orcs scientist whose crystalline form sparkled in the emergency lighting. The Federation erased it from all official records. Elena nodded, her dark eyes narrowing as she studied the quantum signatures around them. The Federation hadn't just hidden this place. They had tried to erase it from reality itself. But reality was something humanity had learned to manipulate long ago. Central Archive Chamber ahead, she announced, her quantum implants translating the ancient security protocols. And something else, something they really didn't want found. The massive doors refused to yield to normal override commands. Elena smiled slightly, time to show their allies why humanity had advanced so quickly during their isolation. She pressed her palm against the door's surface, and nanoscale quantum manipulators began their work. Reality itself seemed to shiver as the door's atomic structure was temporarily phase-shifted. Impressive, Patil whispered as they walked through the seemingly solid door. Your quantum manipulation technology far exceeds even our theoretical models. The chamber beyond was vast, filled with data crystals that contained countless Federation secrets. But Elena's attention was drawn to a sealed container at the center of the room. Its quantum signature was unlike anything she'd ever seen. Begin standard download protocols, she ordered the team. But this, she gestured to the container, this is what we came for. As the scientists worked, Elena's quantum implants began decoding the data streaming from the container. What she found made her blood run cold. Central Command, this is Santos, she sub-vocalized through her quantum link. You need to see this. The Federation, they didn't contain species because they feared our violence. They were farming us. The truth was more horrifying than anyone had imagined. Each contained species had something unique, something the Federation needed. For humanity, it was their unprecedented ability to manipulate quantum fields. For the Orcs, their crystalline biology that could process vast amounts of data. The Zintries' collective consciousness, the Nomads' spatial awareness, all of these traits had been studied, harvested, and exploited. They've been doing this for millions of years, Elena continued, her voice tight with controlled anger. Find species with useful traits, isolate them, study their development, extract what's useful, and keep them contained to preserve the resource. The data showed thousands of species that had been contained throughout history. Some had been released when they no longer proved useful. Others had been deliberately kept in permanent isolation, their unique traits too valuable to risk losing control of. Dr. Santos, one of her team, called out, "We found something else. Records of genetic manipulation. They weren't just studying contained species, they were trying to splice traits together, create hybrid capabilities." Elena's quantum implants flashed a warning as they decoded more data. The Federation's true nature was far from the benevolent guardians they claimed to be. They were genetic engineers on a galactic scale, treating entire species as raw material for their experiments. "Central Command responding," came the reply through her quantum link. "How widespread was this program?" "Universal," Elena answered, her hands moving through holographic data streams. "Every major Federation world, every Council member species, they're all products of ancient genetic engineering. They created their own evolutionary history." Kifel moved closer, his crystalline form reflecting the data displays. "This explains much," he said softly. "Why they feared us so deeply. We were developing naturally, in ways they couldn't predict or control." Elena nodded grimly, "And humanity's quantum affinity threatened their entire power structure. We could potentially undo millions of years of their genetic engineering." The implications were staggering. The Federation wasn't just an empire. It was a vast genetic engineering project spanning millions of years. And now, their carefully constructed house of cards was about to collapse. New data emerging, another scientist reported. They were planning something big. Project Ascension. Some kind of forced evolutionary leap for all Federation species. Elena's quantum implants processed the project details, and she felt a chill run down her spine. The Federation had planned to use the combined harvested traits from all contained species to transform their own population, ascending to a new form of existence. The quarantine species weren't just resources, they were ingredients in a recipe for godhood. "Central Command, are you seeing this?" Elena asked, knowing the quantum link was streaming everything. They weren't going to stop with containment. They were going to start harvesting. The response came quickly. "Understanding confirmed, Dr. Santos. This changes everything. Continue data extraction. Full spectrum analysis required." As her team worked, Elena stared at the streams of data surrounding them. Humanity had thought they were facing an empire built on fear and control. Instead, they had stumbled upon something far more ancient and terrible, a civilization that saw all other life as raw material for their own evolution. The question now wasn't just about freeing contained species or reforming the Federation. It was about preventing a catastrophe millions of years in the making. The Federation's leadership wasn't just going to surrender their power. They were going to fight to preserve their great project, no matter the cost. Elena looked at her team. Humans working alongside former contained species, sharing knowledge and capabilities openly. This was what natural cooperation looked like. This was what the Federation feared most. "Download complete," Catal announced. "Though I suspect understanding all of this will take considerably longer." Elena nodded, already composing her full report. The galaxy needed to know the truth. All of it. The Federation's careful facade of benevolent oversight was about to shatter, and the real war, the war for the right of species to determine their own evolution, was about to begin. Breaking chains. The emergency council chamber aboard the UES Prometheus buzzed with tension as representatives from 27 formerly contained species gathered to hear the truth. Admiral Wright stood at the center, his holographic displays showing the data Dr. Santos had uncovered. Around him, beings of all forms, crystalline, energy-based, biological, and even quantum matrices, absorbed the horrifying reality of their situation. Project Ascension wasn't just about evolution, Wright explained, his voice carrying the weight of the revelation. It was about transcendence. The Federation didn't just want to improve their species, they wanted to become living gods. The Zentri representative, a shimmering cloud of connected consciousness, pulsed with anger. They study our collective mind structure for centuries. We thought they were containing us out of fear. Instead, they were perfecting extraction techniques. Similar revelations echoed around the chamber. Each species had been carefully selected, isolated, and studied. Their unique traits had been cataloged, analyzed, and prepared for harvesting. The Federation's containment program wasn't about protection, it was about cultivation. We've detected unusual energy signatures from multiple Federation core worlds, Captain Patel reported, bringing up new tactical displays. They're accelerating their timeline. Dr. Santos believes they're preparing for mass genetic reconstruction. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. The Federation, realizing their secret was exposed, was moving to complete Project Ascension before they could be stopped. Billions of beings would be transformed without their knowledge or consent, forever altering the course of galactic evolution. We have an advantage they didn't expect, Wright continued, quieting the chamber. They thought containing us would limit our development. Instead, it forced us all to evolve in different ways. He gestured to the assembled representatives. Each of our species solved similar problems through completely different methods. Together, we understand reality in ways the Federation never could. Kittel stepped forward, his crystalline form refracting light across the chamber. The Orcs have already begun adapting human quantum field technology to work with our crystalline computing, combined with Zentri collective processing, and our spatial manipulation abilities, added the Nomad representative, their form shifting through multiple dimensions. We can counter their forced evolution protocol. Wright nodded. This was humanity's true strength, not their technology or their quantum mastery, but their ability to bring diverse species together, to combine different approaches into something greater than the sum of its parts. New contact. Patel's voice cut through the discussion. Federation capital ships emerging from quantum space. Hundreds of them. They're targeting every liberated world simultaneously. Wright's quantum implants flooded him with tactical data. The Federation had launched their desperate gambit, a massive fleet action to recapture all formerly contained species while their leadership initiated Project Ascension. They think we'll fight like them, Wright said quietly. They expect us to defend each world individually, to be divided and conquered. A smile crossed his weathered face. Let's show them how evolution really works. The plan had been prepared since the moment Dr. Santos discovered the truth. As Federation ships approached their targets, they encountered something unprecedented, a unified defense network linking multiple species technologies. Human quantum fields merged with Orcs crystal matrices, powered by Zentri collective consciousness, and guided through dimensional space by Nomad navigators. Federation weapons, designed to counter known technology, proved useless against this hybrid defense. Their attempts at quantum interference were deflected by crystal arrays. Their dimensional attacks were turned aside by beings who naturally existed in multiple spaces. They're launching the genetic reconstruction wave, reported Dr. Santos, who had joined the council. Massive energy discharge from their core worlds. Wright watched as the Federation revealed their ultimate weapon, a galaxy-spanning wave of energy designed to rewrite the genetic code of every living being, forcing evolution along their carefully planned path. This was what all their containment, all their study had been building toward. But they had never faced truly unified opposition before. Initiate protocol unity, Wright ordered. Across liberated space, the combined technology of 27 species activated. Human quantum fields created safe zones around populated worlds. Arcsur crystal matrices redirected the energy. Zintri consciousness guided its flow. Nomad spatial awareness found safe paths for evacuation. The Federation's mighty evolution wave, designed to transform the galaxy, instead met an impenetrable defense built from the very capabilities they had tried to harvest and control. Federation fleet showing signs of genetic instability, Paddle reported. Their own weapon. Wright nodded grimly. Their shields weren't designed to handle multiple species technologies working in concert. Prepare rescue operations. As the Federation fleet began to falter, humanity showed its true colors. Instead of pressing their advantage, human ships moved to save Federation crews from their own weapons' backfire. Other species joined in, each contributing their unique abilities to the rescue effort. "They're sending a surrender signal," announced the communications officer. The Federation Council. "What's left of them? They're standing down." The emergency chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Federation's great project, millions of years in the making, had been undone not by superior force or advanced technology, but by the very diversity they had tried to control and harvest. "Send word to all ships," Wright ordered. "Begin rescue and stabilization operations, and prepare to receive Federation refugees. It's time to show them what real evolution looks like, species working together by choice, not by force." As the combined fleet moved to save their former oppressors, Wright reflected on humanity's journey. They had emerged from containment to find a galaxy in chains, built by beings who saw diversity as a resource to be harvested. Instead, humanity had shown that diversity was strength, that evolution worked best when species were free to cooperate and grow together. The Federation's age of carefully controlled evolution was over. The age of true collaboration was about to begin. Dawn of Unity. 1 year after the fall of the Federation, the Great Hall of the new Galactic Assembly sparkled with the combined light of 1,000 different species. The massive structure, built in orbit around a neutral star, represented everything the Federation had feared, and everything humanity had fought to achieve. Captain Sarah Chen, now Ambassador Chen, stood at the podium, her quantum implants allowing her to communicate simultaneously with all present species. Around her, representatives from both formerly contained and Federation worlds gathered for the ratification of the Unity Accords. "A year ago, we faced extinction," Chen began, her words reaching each being in their native form of communication, not through violence or war, but through the forced evolution of an empire that saw diversity as a weakness to be harvested rather than a strength to be celebrated. The assembled delegates stirred, many of them former Federation citizens who had discovered their own leadership's plans to transform them without consent. The failed launch of Project Ascension had shattered the Federation's carefully constructed lies, revealing the true cost of their quest for perfection. Dr. Elena Santos, now head of the Joint Species Research Initiative, stepped forward to present the scientific findings. "Our studies of Federation genetic engineering have revealed something extraordinary," she announced, bringing up a holographic display that everyone could perceive in their own way. Their attempts to force evolution along a single path actually stunted their development. The contained species, left to develop naturally, achieved far more dramatic and useful evolutionary advances. The display showed the remarkable developments that had emerged in just 1 year of free cooperation. Arcsur crystal technology, merged with human quantum manipulation, had created new forms of faster-than-light travel. Zintri collective consciousness combined with nomad spatial awareness had revolutionized communication across dimensional barriers. But the greatest discovery, Santos continued, was something the Federation never understood. Evolution isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming adaptable. Each of our species evolved to solve different problems in different ways. Together, we don't need to force evolution. We are evolution. Admiral Wright, who had overseen the transition from conflict to cooperation, took his turn at the podium. The Federation's containment program was based on fear, fear of difference, fear of change, fear of losing control. They sought to create a single, perfect form of life. Instead, they nearly destroyed the very diversity that makes life resilient. The holographic displays shifted to show the new galactic structure, not a hierarchy with one species at the top, but a network of interconnected civilizations, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities to the whole. The Unity Accords, Chen resumed, establish not just peace between our species, but a framework for true cooperation. No species will be contained. No civilization will be judged too primitive or too different. Evolution will proceed naturally, guided by choice and cooperation, rather than force and control. Kittel, representing both the Arxer and the former Federation worlds that had chosen to join the new alliance, raised his crystalline form. We were enemies a year ago. The Federation taught us to fear each other, to see different evolutionary paths as threats. Now we understand. Our differences are not weaknesses to be engineered away, but strengths to be shared. The assembly chamber hummed with agreement. Former Federation scientists now worked alongside species they had once studied as specimens. Contained civilizations shared their unique developments with worlds that had once feared them. The galaxy was transforming, not through forced evolution, but through willing collaboration. The Federation sought to create gods, Chen concluded, her voice carrying the weight of history. They failed because they never understood a simple truth. Divinity cannot be engineered. It emerges naturally when different forms of life choose to work together, to share their strengths, to support each other's growth. The ratification vote was unanimous. As the Unity Accords were formally adopted, the assembled representatives witnessed something the Federation had thought impossible: a galaxy where different evolutionary paths enhanced rather than threatened each other. In the years that followed, humanity's role became clear. They had emerged from containment not as conquerors or saviors, but as catalysts, beings who could bring diverse species together, who could see strength in difference rather than weakness in deviation. The Federation's dream of forced transcendence faded into history, replaced by something far more powerful: the natural evolution of species working together by choice, each following their own path while contributing to the greater whole. As Chen looked out at the assembled beings, she smiled. The Federation had contained humanity because they feared what humans might become. In doing so, they had helped create exactly what they feared most: a species that could unite the galaxy not through force or control, but through understanding and cooperation. The age of containment was over. The age of unity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.